Okay, so wellness tourism. It's everywhere right now.
It really is.
Magazines, social media. You can't escape it.
Yeah.
So it must be more than just a fad, right? But what I really want to get into today is why Vietnam is suddenly the hotspot for wellness travel.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how Vietnam has kind of come out of nowhere, flown under the radar for a while.
So beyond just like the buzzword,
Yeah.
what even is wellness tourism? I mean, what are we really talking about here?
Well, at its core, it's travel, but with an added layer of purpose.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere to specifically improve your well-being.
Like mind, body, spirit, the whole thing.
Exactly.
So it's not just about like, I don't know, hitting the beach with a pina colada.
I mean, that can be part of it, sure. Relaxation is definitely a component of wellness.
Right.
But it goes deeper. It's more about actively seeking out experiences that nourish you on multiple levels.
Gotcha.
So think, yoga retreats overlooking rice paddies, or treatments using traditional Vietnamese medicine, or even like mindful hikes through a lush rainforest.
I'm starting to get the picture here.
It's all about that connection with yourself and with the environment around you.
So then why Vietnam? What is it about Vietnam that's making it such a draw for this kind of travel?
Well, I think a big part of it is that Vietnam offers this unique blend of ancient traditions and breathtaking nature.
Okay.
And then you add in the cuisine, which is practically synonymous with healthy eating, and it's like the perfect storm for wellness tourism.
Okay. You definitely got my attention now. So let's break it down. What are the specific elements that make Vietnam stand out in this regard?
Well, let's start with the cultural heritage. Vietnam has this incredible history of traditional healing practices.
Like what kinds of things?
Oh, things like herbal medicine, acupuncture, cupping. They've been practicing these things for centuries.
So it's not just something they've like whipped up for tourists.
No. This is deeply ingrained in their culture. They've always viewed wellness as a holistic practice. It's about treating the whole person, not just masking symptoms.
I love that. It feels so much more authentic when it comes from a place of like genuine tradition.
Right. And that authenticity is a major draw for travelers who are looking for a real immersive experience.
Okay, so we've got the cultural aspect. What else?
Well, then you have to consider the natural landscapes.
Okay, yeah, Vietnam is gorgeous.
Seriously, imagine practicing yoga amongst the limestone karsts of Halong Bay or meditating in the serene rice paddies of the Mekong Delta.
It's like the scenery itself is therapeutic.
It really is. It's hard not to feel a sense of peace and tranquility when you're surrounded by that kind of beauty.
And let's not forget the food.
Oh, how could we? Vietnamese cuisine is famous for its fresh ingredients, its vibrant flavors, and it's all about balance.
It just feels healthy, you know?
It is. Fresh herbs, tons of vegetables, lean proteins, and very little processing.
I mean, come on, pho.
Exactly. Pho is a perfect example. A delicious, flavorful noodle soup that's packed with nutrients.
Or like goi quan.
Fresh spring rolls, another winner. So delicious and so good for you.
So we've got the ancient traditions, the incredible landscapes, and the healthy, delicious food.
Yeah.
It's starting to sound like the perfect wellness getaway.
It really is something special.
But let's get into the specifics now. What kinds of actual activities and experiences can travelers expect when they go to Vietnam for wellness?
Well, you've got your luxurious spa and wellness retreats, of course,
Okay.
particularly in places like Da Nang and Nha Trang.
Yeah.
And these retreats, they offer everything you could imagine. Detox programs, personalized yoga sessions, and spa treatments that incorporate local herbs and essential oils.
So very high end.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But for something truly unique,
Yeah.
you've got to explore Vietnam's traditional healing practices. I mean, this is where it gets really interesting.
So things like acupuncture and herbal medicine.
Exactly. In cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, you can visit traditional medicine clinics and experience these time-honored practices firsthand.
Yeah.
It's a chance to connect with a whole different approach to healing and wellness.
I bet that's pretty powerful.
It really is. And for a truly immersive experience,
Oh, tell me more.
you can even visit villages that specialize in specific treatments.
Seriously?
Yeah, like the traditional medicinal hot springs in Bin Chao.
What's that like?
Oh, they offer mud baths and mineral-rich soaks, all drawing on the natural resources of the region. It's amazing.
So it's not just pampering and relaxation, though, right?
Yo.
What about travelers who are looking for something a little more active?
Well, Vietnam has plenty to offer adventure and nature enthusiasts as well.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever seen the rice terraces of Sapa in northern Vietnam?
They're stunning.
They are. Trekking through those terraces is an incredible experience.
It's definitely a workout.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding. You're challenging yourself physically while being surrounded by this breathtaking natural beauty.
Okay, so trekking in the north. What about other parts of the country?
Well, you can't talk about Vietnam without mentioning Halong Bay.
Of course.
And kayaking through those emerald waters, surrounded by the majestic limestone cliffs. It's just magical.
Kayaking can be a great workout, too.
Oh yeah, it definitely gets your heart rate up. But it's also so peaceful and serene. It's the perfect balance of activity and rejuvenation.
I like that. Balance is key.
It really is. And let's not forget about cycling. Vietnam is a fantastic destination for cycling enthusiasts.
Where's a good place to go?
The Mekong Delta is amazing for cycling.
Really?
Yeah, you can cycle through villages, rice paddies. It's a fantastic way to experience the local culture and get some exercise at the same time.
Okay, so Vietnam definitely has something for everyone on the wellness spectrum.
It does.
From serene spa treatments to invigorating outdoor adventures.
Exactly.
But there's been a lot of talk lately about a global manpower shortage, especially in the wellness sector.
It's a real issue.
So how is that impacting Vietnam's ability to keep up with this growing demand for these wellness experiences? Is it affecting the quality of the services they can offer?
That's a really important question, and it leads us to a fascinating development. Oh, it's really interesting to see how Vietnamese businesses are adapting.
Yeah, are they just like struggling to keep up? Or are they getting creative?
They're definitely getting creative. Technology is playing a big role.
Okay, tell me more.
So one thing that's happening is the rise of these specialized wellness training programs.
Oh, interesting. Like within Vietnam.
Exactly. They're training local people to provide these wellness services.
That's a great idea. So they're not just relying on like outside experts coming in.
Exactly. It's all about empowering local communities and making sure that the benefits of this tourism boom are actually going to the Vietnamese people.
I like that. Plus, it probably helps to preserve the authenticity of the practices too.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a big draw for travelers.
For sure. People want that real, genuine experience.
Exactly. And who better to provide that than people who are deeply connected to the culture and traditions?
So what kinds of things are they training people in? Like just massage and stuff?
Well, it's actually a pretty wide range. Some programs are focused on traditional Vietnamese healing practices.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So things like herbal medicine, acupuncture, massage therapy.
Wow.
But then other programs are more focused on modern wellness modalities.
It's like yoga and stuff.
Exactly. Yoga instruction, mindfulness techniques,
Hmm.
even specialized spa treatments that incorporate local ingredients.
It's kind of a cool mix of old and new, isn't it?
It really is, and it aligns perfectly with what we've been talking about, right? Vietnam's approach to wellness isn't just about importing trends.
Yeah.
It's about weaving those trends into the existing cultural fabric.
I like that.
And a lot of these training programs go beyond just the technical skills, too.
Okay, in what way?
Well, they also emphasize things like cultural sensitivity, ethical practices,
Right.
and environmental sustainability.
So it's really about making sure that this growth is happening in a responsible way.
Exactly. It's not just about making money, it's about making sure that everyone benefits.
Okay, so that's the long-term solution, I guess. But what about right now? Like, how are they dealing with the shortage in the meantime?
Well, that's where technology comes in. And it's pretty amazing what they're doing.
Oh, okay, tell me.
So basically, there are all these online platforms and apps popping up,
Okay.
and they're specifically designed to connect travelers with wellness experiences in Vietnam.
So it's like a one-stop shop for all things wellness.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a digital marketplace for wellness.
I could see that being really useful.
It is. It makes it so much easier for travelers to find and book the services they're looking for.
So what kinds of things can you find on these platforms?
Oh, pretty much anything you can think of. Spa treatments, yoga classes, traditional medicine consultations,
Wow.
even personalized wellness retreats.
That's pretty cool. It takes all the guesswork out of it, right?
Exactly. You don't have to spend hours researching different providers and trying to figure out who's legit.
Yeah, that can be a pain.
It can, but these platforms, they do all the vetting for you, so you know you're getting quality services.
Okay, so it's convenient, it's reliable.
Yep.
What else?
Well, some platforms even go a step further and offer things like virtual consultations with wellness experts,
Oh, wow.
personalized recommendations based on your preferences.
So it's almost like having a personal wellness concierge.
Exactly. It's all about making the experience as seamless and enjoyable as possible for the traveler.
I love that.
Yeah,
It sounds like they're really taking things to the next level.
they are. But, of course, with all these options available, there's always that question of quality,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. How do you know you're getting the real deal?
Right, especially when it comes to traditional practices.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into a tourist trap.
It is, but that's why transparency is so important. And a lot of these platforms, they're really emphasizing that.
Okay, so what are they doing to make sure that the providers they list are actually legit?
Well, for one, they have really strict vetting processes.
So they don't just let anyone on there.
No, no, no. Providers have to meet certain standards.
Like what kinds of things?
They need to have proper certifications, licenses, proven experience in their field.
So they're actually doing their due diligence.
They are. And they also encourage traveler reviews and ratings.
So you can see what other people have experienced.
Exactly. It's all about accountability.
I mean, that makes sense. It's kind of like how we rely on reviews for everything these days.
Exactly. It's word of mouth, but in the digital age.
And that can be really powerful.
It can. And then beyond the platforms themselves, the government and various industry associations are also getting involved.
Okay, how so?
They're working to establish clear guidelines and certification programs for wellness providers.
So it's like an extra layer of quality control.
Exactly. Especially for those who are offering traditional Vietnamese practices.
Okay, that's good to know. It sounds like they're really taking this seriously.
They are. They want to make sure that these ancient traditions are being preserved and practiced in a responsible and ethical way.
Yeah, it's important to protect that heritage.
It is. So yeah, it's a multi-pronged approach, really. You've got the training programs to develop skilled practitioners.
No.
You've got the online platforms to connect them with travelers.
Yeah.
And then you've got the certification systems to ensure quality and authenticity.
It seems like they're really covering all their bases.
They are. They're really committed to making wellness tourism a sustainable and successful industry in Vietnam.
And it seems to be working, right? Like, this isn't just a fad. It's actually having a real impact on their economy.
It is. Wellness tourism is becoming a major economic force in Vietnam.
Do we have any sense of, like, how much money we're talking about here?
Well, even before the pandemic,
Yeah.
wellness tourism was a multi-billion-dollar industry globally.
Wow.
And Vietnam was already one of the fastest-growing markets in Southeast Asia.
So it was already on the rise.
It was. And now, with the renewed focus on health and well-being,
Yeah, people are really prioritizing that these days.
they are. So that growth is only going to accelerate.
So it's not just a niche market anymore.
Nope, it's a major economic driver.
I'm sure the government is pretty happy about that.
They are. They're actively promoting Vietnam as a top wellness destination.
Smart move.
It is.
Very
They're
exciting.
capitalizing on a global trend while also showcasing their unique cultural heritage and natural beauty.
And it's not just benefiting the big cities, right? Like, is this trickling down to more rural communities as well?
It is. That's one of the great things about it. Wellness tourism is creating jobs and boosting local businesses all over the country.
I'm glad to hear that. It's good to know that the benefits are being spread around.
They are. And it's not just limited to luxury travelers either.
Oh, good.
Wellness tourism is becoming increasingly accessible to a wider range of people.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I mean, a lot of what we've been talking about sounds pretty high-end.
It can be, but there are also tons of budget-friendly options available.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you can find homestays that offer yoga classes and healthy meals.
Okay.
Or community-based tourism initiatives that let you experience traditional healing practices in a more authentic setting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So there's really something for everyone.
there is. It's all about finding what resonates with you and your budget.
I love that. It makes wellness travel so much more inclusive.
Exactly. It's not just for the elite anymore.
So it sounds like Vietnam is really doing a lot of things right when it comes to wellness tourism.
They are. They're really setting the bar high.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
are there any potential downsides to all of this? Like, are there any concerns about the impact of all this growth?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something that needs to be considered.
Yeah, it's not always sunshine and roses, right?
Right. I mean, with any booming industry, there are always potential pitfalls.
So what are some of the things we should be thinking about?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is making sure that this growth benefits local communities and doesn't lead to exploitation.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
It is. We don't want to see a situation where big corporations come in and take advantage of the situation.
Right.
So it's really important to make sure that the Vietnamese people are the ones who are benefiting from this tourism boom.
Absolutely. And what about the cultural side of things?
Yeah, that's another big one. We want to make sure that these traditions are being respected and preserved.
So it's not just about commodifying them for tourists.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between economic growth and cultural integrity.
Right. And that can be a tricky balance to strike.
It can be, but I think Vietnam is doing a good job of navigating those challenges.
Okay, good.
They're being very intentional about how they're developing their wellness tourism industry.
And what about the environment? I mean, anytime you have a lot of tourism, there's always the potential for environmental impact.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another area where Vietnam is being very proactive.
Okay, how so?
Well, they're really emphasizing sustainable practices.
Okay.
They're encouraging businesses to minimize their waste, to use eco-friendly products,
Hmm.
and to promote responsible tourism initiatives.
So they're trying to find that sweet spot where tourism can flourish without harming the environment.
Exactly. And that's a really important balance to find.
It is, because ultimately we want to make sure that this beautiful and culturally rich destination is preserved for future generations to enjoy.
Right. We don't want to love it to death.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between sharing this amazing place with the world and protecting it at the same time.
Exactly. And that brings us to another really interesting aspect of Vietnam's approach to wellness tourism.
Okay, what's that?
And that's the emphasis on cultural immersion.
Oh yeah, we touched on that earlier.
We did, but I think it's worth delving a little deeper into what that actually looks like in practice.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah, it's not just about, like, going to a spa and getting a massage.
Right, it's more about understanding the cultural context.
It is. I mean, take yoga, for example.
Okay.
Instead of just going to some generic studio, you could end up practicing in a serene pagoda overlooking rice paddies.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
It is. And your instructor might be a local who incorporates elements of Vietnamese philosophy and spirituality into their teaching.
That's so cool. It's like the setting itself enhances the experience.
Exactly. And it's not just about yoga either.
What else?
A lot of wellness retreats and programs in Vietnam, they incorporate other elements of the culture as well.
Okay, like what?
Oh, things like traditional tea ceremonies, cooking classes that feature healthy local cuisine, or even excursions to ancient temples and historical sites.
It's like a full cultural immersion.
It is. It's about engaging all of your senses and really immersing yourself in the local way of life.
And that way of life is already so focused on balance and well-being, right?
Exactly. It's like it's built into their DNA.
I love that. So it's not just about like going somewhere and getting a treatment. It's about learning a whole new way of being.
It is. And it's not limited to those high-end retreats either.
Oh, good.
Even if you're on a budget, you can still find ways to connect with the culture. Well, a lot of the homestays and community-based tourism initiatives, they offer opportunities to experience these traditions firsthand.
That's great. So there's really something for everyone.
There is. Whether you're looking for a luxurious pampering or a more rustic, immersive experience, Vietnam has something to offer.
Okay, so we're wrapping up this deep dive into Vietnam's wellness tourism scene.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, for our listeners who are intrigued by all of this, what's one key takeaway they should remember about Vietnam as a wellness destination?
I'd say it's the authenticity, the depth of the experiences. These aren't just trends that have been imported.
Right.
These are practices that are deeply rooted in the history and culture of Vietnam.
It's about connecting with something real.
Exactly. It's not just a surface level thing. It's a journey into a rich and vibrant way of life.
Beautifully said. So Vietnam's wellness offerings, they're a blend of ancient wisdom and modern innovation.
Yeah.
And it's all set against this backdrop of breathtaking natural beauty.
Seriously, it's gorgeous there.
It's a destination that truly nourishes the body, mind, and soul.
It is.
Well, there you have it, folks. Vietnam is clearly a rising star in the world of wellness tourism.
No doubt about it.
And with its commitment to sustainability and responsible growth, it's a trend we can all feel good about.
I agree.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.